Well, now we have some breaking news coming in from the UNGA. We are given to understand that Indian diplomat Kshitij Tyagi takes a swipe at Pakistan. India turned up the heat at the United Nations Human Rights Council on Tuesday, with its representative Kshitij Tyagi delivering a scathing reply to Pakistan. Tyagi accused Islamabad of bombing their own people while misusing the forum to hurl accusations against New Delhi. Listen in to what he has to say.
That the Council must remain universal, objective and non-selective in its approach. Our collective efforts should foster unity and constructive engagement, not division. We are concerned by the continued proliferation of country-specific mandates. Far from advancing the Council's core mandate, they reinforce perceptions of bias and selectivity. Focusing narrowly on the human rights situation in a few countries distracts us from the urgent and shared challenges the world faces. We firmly believe that lasting progress can only be achieved through dialogue, cooperation and capacity building, always with the consent of the state concerned. At a time when the world is struggling with multiple crises, the Council's work should be channelized into forging consensus through a non-politicized and forward-looking approach. Mr. Vice President, a delegation that epitomizes the antithesis of this approach continues to abuse this forum with baseless and provocative statements against India. Instead of coveting our territory, they would do well to vacate the Indian territory under the illegal occupation and focus on rescuing an economy on life support, a polity muzzled by military dominance, and a human rights record stained by persecution. Perhaps once they find time away from exporting terrorism, harboring UN-proscribed terrorists, and bombing their own people. I thank you.
And cutting across to Sanjay Suri, joining us live from UN headquarters. Sanjay, help us understand the context over here. What specific incidents was Kshitij Tyagi referring to when he accused Pakistan of bombing their own people?
You know, to begin with, the United Nations has several wings and several departments and institutions. Right here behind me is the United Nations headquarters, and this is where the United Nations General Assembly is taking place. It's also home for the United Nations Security Council meetings, which are other than the UN General Assembly. And then there is the UN Human Rights Council, and that is where Kshitij Tyagi spoke. And this was in response to continuing criticism of India, aimed at India at the UNHRC, and that is something that is a long-standing issue that India has had to face and to deal with. And the particular issue he was pointing to was the fact that Pakistan is facing a good deal of unrest within its territory, particularly in KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region in the north. And in a recent incident, Pakistan had to use its air force to attack people there, and a number of people were killed in that air force attack. So there is a good deal of unrest, and Tyagi said that this is what Pakistan has to deal with, rather than meddle with other countries and try and create trouble in other countries and sponsor terrorist attacks. Needless to say, that there's a lot that Pakistan has to deal with within its own state, and it's best off doing that rather than pointing fingers at others and launching quite baseless allegations. So he has made that point quite firmly at the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Right. Also, Sanjay, do you think India is accusing Pakistan of systematically misusing, international platforms to internationalize their bilateral issues?
Well, this bit of dialogue is almost as old as India and Pakistan. This is a continuing issue. The dates change, the locations change. The language changes a little, but not a lot. But this is a long-running feud. This is something that Pakistan never lets go at international meetings such as this one here at the UNGA. And at the UN Security Council here. So this is a continuing issue. Pakistan is always launching allegations, and not just doing so, trying to muster others and gather support from others to that end. We have seen the position taken by Turkey, a very hostile position to India, that Pakistan has quite successfully roped in on its side and to advance arguments in parallel with its own arguments. So this is a diplomatic game between India and Pakistan that gets played out every time and on every such occasion.
All right, Sanjay, do stay with us as we move to yet another piece of breaking news coming in. Well, the White House